And then I like to do a position statement, and I'll tell you what I mean by a position statement. It's basically telling the mediator a little thumbnail of the sketch from our perspective and what we think should happen. And we all have always done that verbally, and we've always told the mediator, okay, here's how I see it. But I started putting that in writing because I think it helps me to prepare myself and to think through the case, and it also helps my client to see what I think our position is. So my client and I are on the same page. So it's just a good preparation tool. So I do it's not lengthy. I don't want it to be lengthy, but it is something that clearly states our position and the history and why we think that our position makes sense. And then I have the client review it in advance. And then if you're way disconnected with your client, you'll figure that out before you get to mediation. And then, of course, I prepare a settlement offer. And your settlement offer, you might decide strategically to send it ahead of mediation or not. And there's a lot of different reasons that go into that decision. Typically, it's good to have sent a settlement offer before mediation. But there might be times when maybe you think something's going to happen in the case before mediation, where you think you're never going to get to mediation, where you don't want to show your hand on something. I don't know. There's things to consider. But typically I send mine in advance, and then when I get to mediation, I say to the mediator, well, we already sent an offer, so now we need a response from them. And then they start on the other side, and it just saves some time in the day. They don't have to understand our offer and convey it. It's already been sent. So that's my typical position, but I do recognize there might be times when I don't do that strategically. And sometimes people will ask me, they've read some book. It's usually a client has read a book, and the book says never give the first offer or always give the first offer. And there's different thinking behind all of that psychologically. So your client might have a feeling about always or never, but typically I have not found that there's any difference if I make the first offer or the second offer. I don't think it makes a huge difference. The advantage of sending the first offer and providing the spreadsheet is maybe you've set the framework. But I think you can set the framework also by sending the second offer. Sometimes, because I bring the spreadsheet and I bring the thumb drive, the mediator will work off of my spreadsheet all day. I do think there's an advantage to that. So it kind of goes back to being the most prepared. If they'll work off my spreadsheet all day, I know that everything's on there, nothing's been forgotten, because I created it. If I'm working off the other party's spreadsheet, I have to double check the spreadsheet, make sure that the formulas are working, that the numbers are adding, and that they've included everything. So I much prefer to work off of my spreadsheet. And I like to send, when I'm organized enough to do it, my packet to the mediator in advance. And you can even send that spreadsheet on the thumb drive in advance to the mediator. So I think you heighten your chance that then they're going to be working off of yours. There are some mediators that won't work off of anyone's. They kind of create their own. But then you need to be double checking against your own. At least you have yours to double check against to make sure everything that you've thought about is included. And don't trust your spreadsheet or anyone else's that the formulas are working and that it's adding properly without double checking it. You know, it's all, the computer can only deal with the information that has been input into the computer. So the formula, somebody could have messed it up when they were entering that last number for you. And you can't trust that it's always adding. So I just do, get out a trusty calculator. We all have them on our phones now. And just add up all the numbers in an old-fashioned way and make sure it's adding properly. So that you don't find out later that due to an error in a formula or an error in the spreadsheet, a line was added, that line isn't adding. It's very easy to mess them up. They're very handy because once you know your spreadsheet is solid, you can make changes during the day and it will quickly make the changes for you. But you need to make sure your base is solid, and I've learned from experience that they're easy to mess up. So just do a basic double check of that.